Welcome to the ASCO eLearning Weekly Podcast, a weekly educational series focused on helping learners identify knowledge gaps and stay up to date with the latest in new drug developments, cancer treatments, and patient care approaches. This episode is complimentary to an education session presented at the 2019 annual meeting. For more detailed information about the education session, make sure to check the episode description for links to ASCO's meeting library.
Hello, my name is Lora Black, Senior Director of Clinical Research at Sanford Health. Today I'd like to highlight 2 key points for consideration in building a sustainable oncology research program in the community-based setting. At the outset of program development, teams often focus on concrete infrastructure needs, things like FTEs, information technology, facilities, budgets, etc. By doing so, there is a risk of overlooking the critical elements of work done by cross-functional teams, namely integration and communication. Successful research programs are built and thrive on synergy between the oncology clinical team and the oncology research team within an organization. The collaborative desire to venture into oncology clinical research is firmly rooted in the desire to offer additional treatment options for patients. And by deliberately communicating our intent as key stakeholders to develop the program, team members can understand the impact and the purpose of the program, which increases engagement. The initial buy-in created through diligent messaging drives multifaceted program development and inclusivity, with the goal of weaving clinical trials into the seams of an organization. Oncology clinical research work is complex, ever-changing, and dependent on a connected, symbiotic team. Communication and integration is important in program development, but equally, if not more important, in the maintenance and growth of the community-based oncology program. There are a multitude of specific strategies that can be employed, focusing on anything from the overarching strategy and vision of the oncology research program to day-to-day operations. Let's discuss a handful of ideas that have been successful within our organization. Number 1, committees. To communicate and collaborate on strategy and vision, the research program should have representation at the Cancer Committee, where leaders within each realm of the program can discuss enrollment progress, current program challenges, achievements, and strategic priorities. Additionally, a steering committee dedicated to the work of the oncology research program is beneficial. Dedicating a routine block of time to foster robust conversation around the program as it gains momentum has been incredibly important. Steering committee members, to include our providers, as well as administrators from both the clinical program and the research program. 2, trial information. In terms of visibility of trial information, a real-time list of trial options is imperative. Sites should consider the inclusion information at a glance attached to the study list. An information packet comprised of eligibility criteria, schemas, and IRB-approved consent forms may be helpful. The trial list can be developed in the EMR, on a SharePoint, or other electronic mechanism, as long as it ensures easy and accurate access at the point of care. Another avenue for ensuring team members are aware of trial options is the addition of trial review at multidisciplinary tumor boards. Including research coordinators in tumor boards allows for prospective screening of patients for trial and subsequently consistent review of open trials through assessing eligibility at each conference. In attendance at multidisciplinary conference is a wide range of professionals that may be part of the clinical trial participants' care: nurse navigators, dietitians, genetic counselors, radiologists, and radiation oncology. The conversation that happens at multidisciplinary conference around the patient and the trial is likely one of the best avenues for far-reaching dissemination of trial information. 3, team organization. Organizing the team and remaining consistent in providing opportunities for dialogue is often fostered through additional scheduled recurring meetings. For example, monthly study meetings where enrollment is reviewed, trials without enrollment are discussed, and brainstorming around barriers is conducted has been useful within our institution. At the monthly study meetings, the team also discusses upcoming trials and progress towards strategic goals, such as overarching enrollment goals or our move towards increasing a particular type of trials that are offered. The monthly study meetings include PIs, sub-Is, research pharmacy, operational leaders, clinical research coordinators, and our regulatory and startup team. Communication between the PIs and the sub-Is, as well as the research coordinators, is indispensable. We have found the most benefit in providing a weekly dedicated time as a specific study team or as a specific therapeutic group to discuss enrollment, adverse events, trial amendments, upcoming trials, any trial setup that we might be working on in terms of workflow development or recruitment plans, and the list goes on. Providing that time for the team to operationalize the trials and troubleshoot is one of the key things to consider in your oncology research program development. There are also other items, such as interdisciplinary professional development, things like nursing continuing education, participation in ONS or OCN, whatever we can do to really foster the connection between the nurses or the care providers on the clinical side of the program as well as the research side of the program. It provides a forum for conversation around the different roles and leads to more understanding and camaraderie of what the research program offers for patients. Each program must find its own cadence for communication and integration, but not settle for the status quo. As a program, we are consistently evaluating the forums for communication, the method of communication, and avenues for integration. This is important, again, as you're building your program, but more importantly, as you're growing, maintaining, and looking at the next steps for your program. Thank you for listening to this ASCO e-podcast.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the ASCO eLearning Weekly Podcast. To make us part of your weekly routine, click subscribe. Let us know what you think by leaving a review. For more information, visit the Comprehensive eLearning Center at elearning.asco.org. The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. This is not a substitute for medical care and is not intended for use in the diagnosis or treatment of individual conditions. Guests on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. The mention of any product, service, organization, activity, or therapy should not be construed as an ASCO endorsement.